Welcome to another episode of the Clamp Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the Nets, Colin's favorite team and least favorite team in certain moments.
It's been an interesting summer. We've had our highs and lows, but it's all worked out for the best, I guess. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start. Where do you think the Nets are going to be this upcoming year? Where do you think they're going to land?
So I've been advised before appearing on this podcast not to be a quote unquote delusional Nets fan, which I've never. I've never labeled myself as that. I don't think I'm a delusional Nets fan. I think I'm quite realistic. Okay. Yes, I picked them to win the ring the last 2 years because guess what? In theory, we had KD, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Is that ridiculous to pick them as the favorites? No. But this year, let's talk about this year's roster. We added a few good pieces over the summer. Okay.
Yeah.
We got TJ Warren on a vet's minimum.
Yeah.
We've got Royce O'Neal as a 3-and-D player.
Great player.
Burke
great
loves
player.
Royce O'Neal.
Oh my god.
We got Edmund Sumner. He's a good guard. I like Edmund.
Edmund's good. But I think what's the problem is what you guys let go overweighs what you guys brought in. You know what I'm saying? You guys lost Bruce Brown, you lost Drummond.
Okay.
Those are tough losses. I mean, you guys are trying to build a team around these players with role players.
I'm not
losing them.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Here's the thing.
Goran.
Yeah. It's not ideal we lost those players, especially because we still have at this late in the offseason spots to fill before training camp. However, what I'm trying to say is Drummond, as awesome as he was, he could get you an insane amount of rebounds a game. He could be very effective off the board and yet not have that big of an impact on the game.
Is he the greatest rebounder of all
time?
He
is not the greatest rebounder of all time, and he keeps calling himself that, which is just so blasphemous. Anyway, I wasn't thrilled with Drummond because he really disappeared in the Celtics series, as did every single other player.
He kept doing those rebounds where you just had it, He wouldn't like fully catch it. He would just sling it.
He just slapped the ball.
What's the deal?
I hated that. Additionally, so we lost Goran, but Goran's old as hell. No offense.
Yeah,
he's a good complimentary guard. I just like.
Yeah, honestly, Goran, I don't know because he's old, as you said, but what Goran are we seeing? Are we seeing the same one we saw in the playoffs?
I agree, but I do think both Drummond and Goran, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, will actually, I believe, do well in Chicago. Yeah. I think they can both fit roles there, like Drummond as a backup center, Goran as another complimentary guard behind Zoe and Levine. So we lost those two. The biggest loss of the offseason, obviously, was Bruce Brown. Horrible loss.
The whole game plan for the Celtics was you take out Kyrie, and you don't want Kyrie scoring 20. You don't want him scoring 40. But it's much more beneficial if Bruce Brown's the one scoring 20 because the team's not going to get too hot if Bruce Brown's scoring that. If Kyrie's scoring that, that's a lot of momentum coming your way.
I agree. Bruce Brown, though, was also an elite defender.
Yeah.
He was can I use that word, Burke? Elite?
Monte Morris is not elite.
Monte Morris is the GOAT.
Okay, settle down.
He's elite. Anyway, the loss of Bruce Brown hurt. Great player. He's going to be scary as a defensive duo with Aaron Gordon over in Denver. So I'm not looking forward to watching that. However, I do like the additions we had, as we mentioned earlier. Warren Sumner, Yuta
Watanabe.
Yep. Straight from the Raptors.
Yeah, career highlight is being posterized by Anthony Edwards in the bubble. That was,
that is true.
It was a great highlight. Don't get me wrong.
Highlight.
That is a great highlight. But, he's on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. I don't know what the Nets were. What is he? 6'8", 6'9"? So he's gonna be like a stretch. I don't know. I don't know. We both know he's riding the bench. We also lost Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't really mind.
LaMarcus
was a great player, and he should get his props. He was one of the leading scorers of this generation. I mean,
Yeah.
this past season he hit 20,000 points. So
Yeah, on the Blazers he was great, but
and the Spurs.
yeah, I mean, yeah, any place he played before the Nets was great. I'm not discrediting him. He's just really old, and but Blake Griffin, he was a bucket last year. If he was on the court, he was never on the court, but when he was a bucket. I remember he had that stretch where he was just shooting threes and just making them.
Yes, yeah, he was
incredible.
a bucket for a second in the playoffs. But
Second,
let's not oversell Blake Griffin. I agree. Was he disrespected by the Nets coaching staff by getting extremely limited minutes and getting taken out of the rotation back in November, December? Absolutely. I think he was totally disrespected because in certain moments I'm saying, okay, I'd rather this guy out there at the 5 rather than like Claxton when Claxton was going
talk about Claxton.
14.
Let's get the rant.
14.
Rant. All
right. Claxton, I don't want you on the team. And I'm mad that we extended him this summer. I'm just going to say it out loud. Everybody keeps telling me this kid has a bright future. They've been saying that since his rookie year. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
Nope. No.
Yes. He has length. He does. Okay. He does have length, and he could be a good rebounder if he used his size. However, you need to play the proper role of a center, which includes actually getting rebounds, actually making free throws. Because guess what? Breaking news. Centers get fouled in this league.
Yeah. It's like Hack-a-Shaq.
It really is.
The thing is, it's Claxton, not Shaquille O'Neal. The real problem.
That is the real problem. Okay. Now let's get to the main story of the summer. Back on June 30th, Kevin Durant. Well, first of all, actually, let's start back June 27th or 28th. Kyrie Irving opts into his $36.5 million player option, opts to stay with the Brooklyn Nets.
Is it more than that? I thought it was more than that.
No, it's 36.5. Anyway, I was happy. I was saying, okay, give it another chance. Run it back, 7-11. I'm looking forward to seeing it. However, then on June 30th, it was a nightmare. We had KD requesting a trade right after Kyrie opts in. Just a nightmare for the franchise, a nightmare, for his teammates. And then through the month of July, we didn't really hear anything. Like we're hearing, okay, the trade talks, the Nets have tried it out. They've actually actively tried to honor his request and make some, have some conversations. It didn't work. The trade talks slowed to a trickle. Then on August 8th, we have KD and Josai meet in London. KD asks for the heads of Josai and Steve Nash and Sean Marks in return for him actually staying and rescinding his trade request. Now, if you're Josai, you're saying, wait a minute, who owns the team? Who owns the team?
Look, this is what I got to say. Kevin Durant has asked for everything in the organization.
As Stephen A. said, you're right. You gave DeAndre Jordan an absurd amount of money, $40 million. Nobody in the league was dreaming of giving DeAndre Jordan that much money back in 2019. You gave him $40 million. You asked for Steve Nash to be hired. They got that done for you.
You asked for DeAndre Jordan to be started over Jared Allen.
Which was a delusional. Then
you asked for Harden.
Back in the fall of 2021. You requested that the Nets wouldn't trade Kyrie Irving when he couldn't play. And then, you've signed off on all of this. These have all been your decisions. We've given you everything you've wanted. So now, after all of it falls apart, you come in, you're trying to bail ship, but you're saying, oh, actually, if you still want me here, why don't we just undo everything that I've actually originally asked you to do? Because, Josai, you've poured hundreds of millions of dollars into this investment. You've gotten no return, and I'm just going to bail ship. I think it's unfair, and kind of getting to a little bit of a deeper level, I think this speaks to a little bit of an issue of player power within the league.
For sure. I think it's crap that he just has I think he's just panicked. He wants a ring, and he doesn't have 10 more years left in him. He doesn't have 5-6 years left.
Yeah, he's 34.
Look,
or about to.
Yeah. But I'm saying, look, I think he's got 3 more years in him, maybe, of a good solid.
Of the Kevin Durant we know.
Kevin Durant, and then I think in 2 years he might be like a good player. You know what I'm saying? Not great. But Kevin Durant is so panicked that he wants his rings badly, and I don't know Kevin. First off, I don't know this, but it's just my speculation. I think he's just so split, and he just wants a ring so badly that he's making decisions that he haven't really thought through. It's just it's panic decisions. And,
I agree. I know what you mean. That it could be a panic decision. KD, what everybody knows about him is this dude cares about his legacy. Yeah. He cares what people think about him. So yeah, you had a guy who opted not to stay with Steph Curry back in 2019 and join his friend Kyrie Irving in an attempt to build something special with his own franchise, because he could never win with his own franchise in OKC. So he had this opportunity. It hasn't worked out. And look, partially, I see where KD's coming from. It's a toxic work environment right now. You've got a lot of speculation over whether Ben Simmons can come back. Relations with the front office are at an all-time low. Brooklyn is not. You just got swept in the first round. Brooklyn's not necessarily the place to be right now. I'll be the first one to admit it. So I understand what he's, where he's coming from. That being said, I think it is completely unfair for these superstars to come in here saying, I've built this. Now that it's getting hard, or, that it's getting difficult for me, I can just jump ship, leave the entire franchise as a dumpster fire, and not actually try and finish, what I've started here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. And, I think if it really just depends, the success of the Nets this year really just depends on what Kyrie brings. Ben Simmons is another thing. Like, I truly believe Ben Simmons is going to come back and be what
I think he's going to be. Okay, so let's have this discussion.
Where are they going to play him?
I think he's going to play. Well, first of all, I think we're going to use him at the 5.
The thing with that is he doesn't have much experience playing the 5. And
true.
Again, he hasn't really played too well when he's played point guard. I think the perfect position for him is playing
power forward.
Power forward.
Yeah. But here's my theory on the 5. I get what you mean. All I'm saying is if we do try it out, it can't hurt to use one of the most, one of the people who's regarded to be one of the most, if not the most athletic player in the league, as
that's John Morant.
John Morant, Giannis, but Ben Simmons is in that conversation. Yeah. Extremely athletic. And he's 6'11", very athletic. At least try it out. That's all I'm saying, because we know how I feel about Nick Claxton. So,
oh my God.
All I'm saying is you can use Ben Simmons in a lot of different ways, and I'm excited to see how the Nets do. I'm interested to see how he comes back, because as Xavier Moon said, it's all about fitting your role. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's not going to fit necessarily an offensive powerhouse role on the team. I don't think he should. He's a defensive specialist. So whatever form he comes back in, I think he's going to be good. I don't want to overhype the guy or try and set unrealistic expectations, but I personally think he'll be on an all-defensive team by the end of the year.
I definitely agree with that. I think even with a struggling Ben Simmons on offense, you still get one of the best defenders in the league.
Yep.
Perimeter and in the paint too, which is you don't see that. You don't see that ever. You don't see a guy who's just that strong. He can play all 5 positions. Draws comparisons at his best. Is similar to a Magic Johnson-esque.
Yep.
Just in terms of versatility. He can guard every single position. He can play every single position. But the question is how much has he worked in his jump shot? And that's everyone's question.
But what I'm trying to say is, if it's just fitting the role as a defensive player, we have so many shooters. Why is it important that he works on his jump shot?
Look,
we have Seth Curry. We have, Patty Mills, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. The dude is supposed to drive in and kick it out if he's playing at that point guard or power forward role, as long as he's not playing at the 5. But kick it out to these shooters, Seth Curry.
What I'm saying is, people have played the 4 and the 5. Aldridge, taking Claxton out of this because he's no jump shot whatsoever. Saying Claxton,
nothing.
Claxton, Griffin, even Paul Millsap when he was playing, they all were guys. This in terms of the Nets offense, They have to be able to shoot the ball. And you guys struggled with Claxton because you couldn't shoot the ball and you guys couldn't work the offense Steve Nash wants to use. I think if you want to use Ben Simmons at the 4 or 5, he needs to have a solid mid-range shot. It doesn't have to be like a great mid-range shot. I think it has to go in 50, 60% of the time.
All right, that's fair enough. 50, 60% of the time, that's a pretty good mid-range field goal percentage.
I'm saying like a wide open mid-range because, I mean, look, it's not like the guys are going to be all pressed up on him when it's Ben Simmons out there because they don't know which Ben Simmons they're getting.
And it's going to be exciting to watch. Now,
yeah,
I agree. So I think that if you have Ben Simmons at the point, I don't think that the jump shot is necessarily a priority because I think he's a really good passer. But I see what you mean about him being at the 4 or the 5. I was listening to Brian Windhorse's Hoop Collective the other day, and they were determining this Nets squad, assuming everybody's healthy and everybody's content, no more KD or Kyrie trade requests, all of the shenanigans we were put through this summer. They played which of these teams does the Nets? Do you have the Nets coming out of the East? Do you have the Nets beating the Sixers in the playoffs, the Bucks in the playoffs, the Celtics in the playoffs?
Again, are we talking no shenanigans whatsoever?
I mean, at this point, it feels unrealistic to say that there's
not possible to say that. Even like a sane team that's not all dramatic like the Nets, there's still going to be problems. There's always problems down the line. Any team has problems. It's not like it's never a breeze.
Okay, but entering the postseason fully healthy.
Okay, so determined to get a chip.
Sorry?
Determined to get a chip.
Yeah.
It's too far away to really make a prediction like that.
And I think it all depends on how our new additions and Ben Simmons comes in.
I don't really think it's really that, honestly. I think it's more of just in terms of how the role players can play. That's always been the whole thing is you can have a super team, but you have to have some guys off the bench that will play solid, you know?
I also think, though, in theory, this should work out. We have Kyrie Irving on a contract season, right? He has to prove that he's a long-term player and deserves a bag. On the other hand, you have KD coming off his former team winning the championship without him. And then you have Ben Simmons, who has just been ripped apart by the national media and really every NBA fan in one way or another throughout the last year. Those three should be determined. They should be ready to win. And then that's what I'm saying. I like the role pieces we've added this summer, so I don't think it's delusional to say all healthy entering the postseason. I don't see any team that can beat us.
Again, if we go back to player power, how much does Steve Nash actually have to do? Not much, because I don't necessarily think that
he has to show me some things this year as a Nets fan.
I think he needs to run plays. He's playing.
Yeah, I hate his rotations right now.
I think it's really just the stupidest thing that he literally lets the Nets players go out and play street ball and just play how they want. It's like they're doing like pickup runs at like the YMCA. Like it's literally, but now it's at the Barclays Center. It is not like it's not like he's running plays. Like going back to the Bucks overtime win where Giannis had that step back 3. Kevin Durant had, I think, 2 shots to win the game. There's literally no play. It was just ISO.
Are we talking about the game this past season?
Yeah.
Back in March? Yeah. That was an epic game.
Literally 2 ISO plays.
Yep.
I wouldn't even call it play. It was just isolation. Against Giannis, you have to like set a pick or something. Like you have to make something where Seth Curry or anyone sets a pick and then a guard comes on, other than Wesley Matthews.
Yeah.
Anyone. I mean, I would much rather have like I'd rather have Drew Holiday, who's a great defender, over Giannis guarding him, or Middleton or someone, you know? You have to just exploit that.
No, I agree. There were certain games this year where I would just be watching and I'd be like, dude, Steve Nash is running like New York Liberty rotations. And all respect to the New York Liberty, but like I don't want that for the Nets. And I've been seeing him at a lot of New York Liberty games this summer, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again.
It's learning.
Yeah. But Steve Nash has to show me that he can get better rotations. We added few coaches, I think, this summer. We got rid of Adam Harrington, who's Kevin Durant's trainer. We added Igor. If I tried to pronounce his last name, it would just be horrible, from the Mavs.
We would be canceled.
Huh?
We'd be probably canceled
by like all the Eastern Europeans. Yeah.
Anyone.
But yeah, so we added him from the Mavs. We have Jacques Vaughn. I don't know if we have David Vanderpool still, but
look,
in theory, we have a solid coaching staff. Personally, I would have gotten rid of Nash and gotten Mark Jackson.
Look, like, again, I don't really think that the coach really has much to do in terms of like the success in today's game. Like, I think it's a lot. I think it's more, look, if you have a game plan by a coach, but you have really crappy players on the floor, like, like when the Nets, I hate to go back to the Nets, but remember their lineup when KD, everyone was out and they were going against the Magic, something like that. That was probably one of the best games they ever played, but they didn't win because they had terrible players. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, but I'll give you this example. In this Nets Celtics series this past year, we know who is the more talented team. You had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the same team, for God's sake. And we saw them get swept by a Boston team who started the year at like 10th in the East. And you saw Ime Udoka just take that team back. I mean, that was brilliant Celtics coaching staff. I mean, just a brilliant Celtics coaching staff that brought them there. Additionally, the Clippers, personally, spending like, I don't even know what percentage of the season without both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. With all due respect to the Clippers, they had no right to be in the play-in. But Ty Lue is an excellent coach. So I personally disagree if we're saying you just need, the players need to be good enough, because yes, it can't just be a super team where you have superstars. You need role players, but coaching staff to me is just as essential.
Look, I know what you're trying to say, but the point I'm trying to make is in a Nets world where there's so much drama, the coach has no role. There's literally no role. There's no role in the Nets team with all the drama that they have between the GM, all that, and the coaching staff, between the players. I don't think that Steve Nash has much of a say now, especially with we've heard the stories about Kyrie and Steve Nash's feuds. I think from the players' side, I think most of the players are going to side with the superstars like Kyrie, KD, what they're going to say in the locker room instead of, someone like Steve Nash.
But don't you think in that way, then the coach has to somewhat step up, be a leader, be strong, and squash that?
He has no say anymore.
Well, take over the team. We need somebody respectable. We need a Mark Jackson.
Yeah, but he has no say, so you can't do that argument now. He's not allowed to say anything anymore,
which is why I hate to say it, but this past summer, that's why I was at least open to the idea of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving leaving, because I said, look, we have two guys who are just bulldozing the rest of the team, and they're somewhat delusional in their path to a ring through just drama and constantly, like the narrative was just being spinned about around the Nets because of their, like antics, and it was frustrating. And I think, we need a strong coach. We need strong players who are actually going to respect him. So in that way, it's been frustrating, as great as Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are. Let me ask you a question. I talked about KD and how he should be motivated this season. After all this drama, where do you see KD kind of performing this season?
I think you know my opinions on KD.
And I have the same opinions to an extent. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But this summer has just made the whole world look down on him, and it's hard to see him coming back and just having an unbelievable team for a season where unbelievable season for a team where he asked for everyone to get fired. I mean, he really doesn't want to be here. So,
Colin, I think you're wrapped up in the media. We've seen what KD has publicly said. The media is spinning what he's saying.
Of course, but
so we don't necessarily know what he's actually saying versus what the headlines are being,
No,
brought at
but
him.
the London meeting was true. I mean, Joe Tsai tweeted about it. If that wasn't true, Kevin Durant would have came
No,
out.
for sure. I understand,
Yeah.
but some parts you have to understand.
Oh no, I agree.
He is a MVP player.
Yep.
He's that every single season. He's always been an MVP in the race. He's he's always been that guy. And even when he was with Curry, Clay, Draymond, he was also in my opinion, he was that guy on that team. Maybe to a lesser extent as he's on the Nets because he doesn't have, as great of superstars around him. But literally it's Kevin Durant. And I think, because he's already won the trophy and he's just so good every year. I don't think he's gonna win the MVP because the MVP is usually spread on the multiple players. Like they don't give it to LeBron every year, even if he's putting up the best numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but what if KD stays healthy all year long?
That's not even a scenario. There's no NBA player that stays healthy that long if you're a superstar. That's not even a scenario. Look, LeBron did it a couple years ago where he played all 82. There's today's game, people there's load management. We saw that with Kawhi to like on a crazy extent once he came to the Clippers. That was part of his deal comes to Clippers. He needed to be able to take some days off to recover his body. There's no way Kevin Durant plays more than 60 games this year. And that's just being generous. I don't think he's playing over 60 games.
And Kyrie's
not playing over 50. There's just no way.
Whoa. Okay. I'm
There's no
gonna
way.
take
There's
the
no
over.
way.
I'm gonna take the over on that. This is a contract year, dude.
There's no
the
way.
guy wants money.
He does not need money. He doesn't want money.
No,
he doesn't need money.
He just wants a long-term deal. He wants security.
That doesn't matter, but he doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about look, this guy does not care. He has all the money in the world right now.
Okay. Fair enough about the money. What I'm trying to say is he does want a long-term deal.
Yeah, he wants connections. He wants to be able to have a say. But I think again, his problem with being with LeBron, whatever the media was saying, is he's in a shadow. He's in KD's shadow right now, I think.
But he's fine with that. He signed on to Brooklyn knowing that.
Look, I thought when he opted into his player option, I thought they were gonna put him in a trade package to the Lakers. I thought that was just gonna happen, and that could have been it. Look, I think that could have definitely happened. I mean, there was probably like a 45-50% chance that was gonna happen.
I don't know. What bothers me is KD's unbelievable, and I think you can make the argument that Kyrie is the best 2 option in the world.
Look, I don't think if KD wins the championship, or the Nets win the championship next year, if they do, he's gonna stay. But if they don't, he's gone. Like it's not like no. Don't even say this. It's gonna be
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
35-year-old Kevin Durant. And how old is Kyrie going to be next year? He's not that. He's not.
He's
going
to be 31 in March.
Yeah, these guys can't do it for that long. They aren't going to be as good as they are.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. If Kyrie, minus the injuries, plays with no personal drama and no BS, I think that's going to happen.
Scenarios. This never happens. This not 1 year.
The dude wants to get extended, and I think that we have the ability to extend him. Yeah, we've been in touch.
Okay. All right, we'll take your word. But seriously,
but I'm just saying
that's a crazy scenario.
Okay, I'm gonna take the over. He plays over 50 games unless there's an injury variable.
Crazy.
Not crazy.
Look, it's a 1-year deal. He gets to do whatever he wants. He doesn't need money. He can easily just do what he did last year, be a part-time player. Look, if he's really that determined, he wasn't determined last year. What's the big difference? I mean,
this is a contract year.
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
he was fine doing it. He knew the consequences of what was going to happen.
We got bigger fish to fry next summer. Okay, Utah will be a free agent.
Look. Kyrie knew if he knew if he was a part-time player last year, he wouldn't get a long-term deal. But he still did that. If he literally was if he played bunch of games last year and didn't take personal reasons off
I get games last year is last year. The past is the past.
Oh my god. Look, you're speaking into the future and you're predicting this and then making claims off that. That's impossible.
Of course it's impossible.
Previous logic.
That's the point of what we're doing. We're predicting. And all I'm saying is you and I can't come to an agreement because I think Kyrie's gonna ball this year.
Look, you can. I think when he's on the court, he can surely ball. He's a great player. He's the best ball handler of all time. What?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's not even a pause. That's literally what
I
he
know.
is.
I agree. But what I'm trying to say is he's the most skilled player of all time.
Okay, hold on. What do you mean by skill? That can mean many things.
Okay, I'm talking about pure. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, most talented player of all time.
Bro, talented?
Yeah.
That's Michael Jordan. What are you talking about?
No. In terms of pure talent, in terms of a guy who practically can't play basketball or doesn't play basketball and then goes out there and gets you six, it's not Michael Jordan.
No,
not Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan did that, and look, Michael Jordan was as that is might be one of the dumbest.
We're getting off track from the Nets.
The dumbest takes I've ever heard.
Kyrie,
to say that Kyrie never doesn't even like. What would you say? Can you repeat your take?
I'm saying he is the most. Okay,
so he's
listeners,
a part-time player, and if he's on the court, he'll drop 60.
I'm just saying
Michael Jordan wasn't a part-time player, and he also dropped 60.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is after taking a basketball hiatus, the dude comes out there and was averaging, what was it, over 30 points.
Doesn't matter. Michael Jordan would do that without having a basketball hiatus.
And I think that Michael Jordan is better all time than Kyrie Irving. We can sit here all day. What I'm trying to say is Kyrie Irving is the most talented player I've ever seen.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Is Michael Jordan a better scorer? Yes. But he's not more talented. Okay, he can't dribble like Kyrie. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In terms of pure success, talent also means in the locker room. Talent means that you can command a team.
No.
Kyrie cannot command.
That's called being a good teammate. Good.
That's part of your talent.
That's being a leader.
That is part of being a talented player.
Pure basketball. We're getting off topic, but pure basketball, Kyrie is the most talented player.
Being a good teammate's part of basketball?
I'm talking about pure basketball skills. Same. Being on a team is being a good teammate.
Look, going back to being a delusional Nets fan, this is crazy talk. That's crazy talk.
This is not delusional.
That is crazy talk. To say that Kyrie's the most talented basketball player of all time.
The only other argument I'll accept is Allen Iverson. I think that dude was one of the most.
Look, that's part of the like we're talking one of. Kyrie's one of the most talented players. Sure, that's top. That's everyone in the top 75 is one of the most talented players of all time.
Kyrie isn't on the one, which was BS.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Kyrie's an exception because you can't put him a guy like that in the top 75 if he's part-time. You can't do that. Like but he has to show that he can also be a good teammate, and that's
all I'm saying is the listeners understand that when I say Kyrie is one of the greatest or the most talented. Huh? I believe it's the. You say it's one of. I say it's the. I don't see where the gap in our understanding is so large. Like we're
gonna go down in viewers. I hope you know this.
Sorry,
we're gonna go down in viewers.
Yeah, well, probably. Who's still listening at this point? Yeah. If you're still listening, go to work. But
I might have to just delete the episode. This is really, that is a crazy take to me.
All I'm saying is, getting back on the subject. Sure. Kyrie's going to have a great season. I am still skeptical about Kevin Durant. I like the role pieces or the role players we have, the pieces we added over the summer. I say we make it to the Eastern Conference Final. My prediction, Eastern Conference Final, and we lose either the Sixers or the Celtics. I think we can take on the Bucks. I'm not sure about the Sixers or the Celtics.
Look, I think the Bucks are a similar team to. I think the Celtics can take down the Bucks if they play them because, look, all they have to do is take out Giannis.
Yeah, they did.
And that's the hardest thing to do, by the way. That's one of the hardest things to do in basketball is take out Giannis. They took out Kevin Durant, and that's a similar type player, not in terms of their play style, but I'm saying in levels. He's a similar level to.
I agree.
All you have to do is do what the Celtics did is you can You can let Chris Middleton, you can let Drew Holiday have 30 points. Just if you can limit Giannis to under 20, that's all you need to do. And that's a very, very hard ask. I know I'm saying that, but you just have to just put all the defensive focus on Giannis. That's it.
I agree. Although the Bucks have solid pieces, I think the Nets can take down the Bucks. Though I think we have enough like offensive firepower. Additionally, with the defensive pieces we've added, but I'm not sure about the Sixers or the Celtics. I still think Embiid and Harden have the ability to be one of the best duos in the league, and then I'm even more worried in a way about Maxey than Harden. Tyrese Maxey at 21, 22 years old is one of the most talented players I've seen. So let's have another talent debate, Burke.
Talented players. What do you mean?
I'm talking about like
in the NBA.
I'm just saying, yeah, like he's young, and the amount of like talent he already has possessed as like a complete player is really impressive.
Yeah, I could totally see him being one of the better players in the NBA, being a superstar down the line. But look, I don't know. Like, I feel like talent is very hard to make a claim on.
Talent's hard to define, and you and I can have this debate later because we're talking about the Nets.
Yeah,
but
it's really hard to say that. I definitely think Maxey's a very talented player. I think Kyrie's a very talented player, but it's hard to say at a young age, like Maxey at 21, 22 or something like that, that he's gonna continue being on that track, which I think he will. Don't get me wrong, but a young player can change his career in a second.
And I think we both agree at 21, he still has a lot to mature in his game and as a person.
Yeah,
but
teammate.
Yep,
we saw that last year with Harden and him.
As a player, he has shown me to be extremely, extremely impressive so far. So the Sixers look dangerous, and then with the Celtics, they just outplayed us in every game of the series. So the argument I've been having with a lot of people, mostly my brother, has been, what have the Nets done this offseason to really flip the script? And although I think we've gotten better as a team, and I think everybody can really recognize that, personally, I think despite the loss of Bruce Brown, we have keeping KD and Kyrie. I still don't know if it's enough because we have Ben Simmons back. And then we have people off the bench, I assume, like TJ Warren. I hear we're going to get Markieff Morris. Yeah, I know. I don't love that signing, but we're going to live with it. I'm still going to sleep at night. I think the team gets better. I'm not sure it's enough to just, like, with the Celtics adding Brogdon as a guard.
You guys had to do something like that. Like, just like something along the lines. I guess you did do that in terms of Ben Simmons, where you splashed the cash on, you went out and got a piece like that you know is gonna be solid if he plays, and better than solid, honestly. He can be a good player when he's on the court, and that's what you guys needed. A better version of like someone who's on the court, who starts the game and is better than a role player, better than your average player, because I don't think Ben Simmons is one of the best players in the league. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's on the border between a good player and a superstar.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I agree. So finally, realistically, I don't think I've gotten your complete prediction because you're assuming that they're not staying healthy. So do you have them going to the finals or no?
Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals?
The NBA Finals.
No.
You haven't gone to the Eastern Conference Final?
I can't make that. I just can't make that.
Yeah.
This is one of the only temes I cannot make a clear statement on.
We make it tricky for you guys to decide.
I would say they get bounced before the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Guys, thank you so much for listening today. It's been another real episode of Clamp. Please let us know, by the way, down in the comments. Number one, where you have the Nets going in the playoffs. And number two, is Kyrie Irving one of the most talented players in NBA history? No, the most
That's
talented.
What you said.
Yep. Yeah, and he is. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
All right. See you guys.